All right, Jackson, Mississippi, my friends. If you're receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. Welcome to episode 5 of the SaveJXN podcast and SaveJXN on the radio right here on WYAB 103.9 FM, Jackson, Mississippi. We are coming at you live from the USA Pawn Studios right here at our palatial South Jackson estate. Myself, Clay Edwards, my wife, Crystal Edwards. Crystal, how are you?
I'm making it, I guess.
Been a crazy week, and it ain't over. It is only, it's only about the middle of the week as we record this, even though I know you're just now hearing it on Saturday. So, a lot of stuff to discuss, a lot of crazy things, elections, fallout, chaos, COVID, you name it. We are probably going to talk about it today. Real quick, we're going to start the show. We're going to take a deep breath. I know it's the end of the week as everybody listens to this. Pretend you're in church. It's Sunday morning. The pastor tells you, just everybody stand up, take a deep breath. Let all the weight of the world, all the weight of the week, just leave your body. We're going to start off with a little Bible verse real quick. Crystal picked us out another amazing one. I was wanting to do, what was it, Psalms 23? Mm-hmm. I was wanting to do Psalms 23 as I walked through the valley of the shadow of death. Mm-hmm. She had already sent me one, and I was like, well, I don't know. I made my mind up. Then I read hers, and I'm like, wife knows best. Wife knows best. All right, so real quick here. Proverbs 6:16-19. There are 6 things the Lord hates. No, make that 7 things he detests. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that kill the innocent, a heart that plots evil, feet that race to do wrong, a false witness who pours out lies, a person who sows discord in a family. Proverbs 6:16-19. Well, what he was describing there was Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You know, and your typical liberal Democrat. So, great choice again, Crystal.
Thank you.
Couldn't be prouder of my wife. She knows the Bible verses well better than I do. I couldn't quote much. I love it. Try to live by it. But quoting scripture is not something that I do well. So I'd like to thank Crystal. I grew up quoting Austin 3:16 more than John 3:16. So it is nice to have someone like Crystal who grew up in the church and studied the Bible, you know, by my side. It definitely helps keep life in perspective. All right, real quick, let's talk about the people that make this possible. Our amazing partners, our business, our sponsors, USA Pawn. Follow them on all social media outlets at USA Pawn. It's that simple. The name is the social media handle. Also, their website, usapawn.com. They have Mississippi. Crystal, did you know that USA Pawn right there at McDowell Road is the largest pawn shop in Mississippi?
I had no idea.
It is. It's absolutely the largest pawn shop in the state of Mississippi. They have 6 locations here locally. Well, what I call local. McDowell Road, Woodrow Wilson, Ellis Avenue, Pearl, Canton, and Vicksburg. You can get the exact addresses of all of those online at usapawn.com, or just go to Google like I do all the time and type in USA Pawn, Mississippi. You can get all of it. Look, shop them online at usapawn.com. Luxury handbags, diamonds, jewelry, loans. Sell your stuff. Buy guns and ammo, tools, flat screens, computers, TVs, more. You name it. USA Pawn is your one-stop shop. Christmas is coming up. All kind of great stuff going on. Don't sell yourself short by running to one of these big discount stores. Go to USA Pawn first. You will be shocked at the money you can save and the products you can buy. All right, the gym at BYRAM. You can check them out at the gym at BYRAM. Same thing. The name is the social media handle. Also the website, thegym@BYRAM.com. Located at 136 Byram Parkway. Give them a call today at 601-372-2229. 24-hour access. Olympic swimming pool. Tanning. Tennis. Indoor basketball. Women's training room. Personal trainers. World-class bodybuilding equipment and cardio equipment. Look, I can't say enough about this gym. I work out there personally. Personal friends of mine. It is one of the biggest, nicest gyms in the Southeast, much less in Jackson, Mississippi, or the surrounding areas. So check them out online, thegym@byram.com for a virtual tour, or give them a call today to discuss their monthly specials at 601-372-2229. And look, I always say last but not least, with my good friend Danny White and father and son Southern Lawn Care. Check them out online. They do have a website up and running now. You can find them online at www.fatherandsonlawnservice.org, or give Danny White a call at 601-301-3210. Once again, Father and Son Southern Lawn Care, servicing the Tri-County area. Danny is a lifelong resident of South Jackson. If you live in Pearl, Brandon, Clinton, Byram, Terry, Florence, Richland, anywhere in the Tri-County area, particularly in the suburbs, give Danny a call, 601-301-3210, or check out their new and improved website, www.fatherandsonlawnservice.org. Again, Danny White, Father and a Son Southern Lawn Care, 601-301-3210. Be sure to tell them all that SaveJXN sent you. All right, so now we got the business out of the way. Crystal, I hold in my hand here one of my most valued possessions, prized possessions even. Mm-hmm. It is my 2020 monthly planner, which I just threw across the room because it is as useless as a paperweight. Actually, a paperweight would be more useful than what is in that 2020 planner. But with that said, we have made the most out of 2020. We started out in the kitchen right here, slicing up a pork chop, making our first ever, let me rephrase that, slicing up a big pork loin, the whole thing there, making our first ever video for the internet. And we said, look, let's just try to make 52 of these this year. And here we are on about our 100th video, 98th, 99th, something like that. And our 7th podcast, our radio show. The 2020 planner, I just threw across the room because everything we had planned at the beginning of the year, we did accomplish. We had been married about 2 weeks. And then some crazy things happened. The COVID, all that good stuff. We never imagined we'd be sitting here doing a radio show. We'd be doing a podcast. We would have a TV studio in the house doing live streams several nights a week. All the crazy stuff. SaveJXN was just pictures of old buildings. Yeah. And here we are. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of it comes down to our ambition and your ability to patiently or deal with me while I chase these dreams of being a voice. I guess that's the best way to say it. A personality. So thank you for that. But I thought it was cool, So when the show got started, it was because Napoleon hit us up. Mm-hmm. Napoleon Edwards with the cipher voice. He hit me up one day, just completely random. He was like, hey man, come on my show. I was like, yeah, absolutely. He was hot. I mean, he's still hot. He's hotter now than he was then, honestly. And he was like, come on the show. And man, he can be really controversial, when he wants to be. And I was a little nervous, but I was like, yeah. One of my New Year's resolutions was to say yes to opportunity. So I said, heck yeah, man, let's do that. And we did there. Me and Napoleon had a good run. We did a Sunday show for a while. So then fast forward a little bit. This past week, Kim Wade, the legendary Kim Wade, and that is not an exaggeration to call Kim Wade a legend. He hit me up. He was like, hey man, come on the show. So I went and I co-hosted Kim's show with him on Tuesday of this week at WYAB. Well, Kim calls me on the way home today. He's like, hey man, look, I want you to come on the show. Some more, when you're off work on Tuesdays and it works out. So just one more, and it makes me say that. It's like one more kind of notch in the belt, however you want to call it, but it makes you say, you really want to say yes to opportunities when they come at you. Don't worry about being scared. Don't worry about all the crazy stuff. Don't let the voices in your head get to you. When you want to do something and you pursue it, and somebody that's in that field offers you the opportunity to do it, say yes. The worst thing that can happen is you fail. And at least you have the peace of mind knowing, you know what, that wasn't for me. Because God knows I've had that too. I'm like, I left something and I was so bad at it. I was like, I'm a pass on that, dog. CrossFit was one of those things for me. I'm like, no, dog, I'm going to let y'all have that. I'm going to stick with traditional weightlifting. But, to each their own, whatever works for you. So, I just wanted to say, Kim Wade had us on this week. Kim, thank you, WYAB. Thank you for the opportunity. It was a great learning experience, and I look forward to spending more time behind the microphone with Kim in the coming weeks, months, and years. All right, so coming up on this week's show, we're going to talk about the election, the fallout, the local fallout, the flag, Cindy Hyde Smith versus Mike Espy round 2, COVID, stupid criminals, the Jesus Loves You mask fiasco down in Simpson County, and a whole lot more. So look, let's jump in. Hot, right here. Crystal, we went out and we voted Tuesday. Got down there at our little polling station here in South Jackson around 6:45 in the morning. It was 37 degrees outside. I never wear my face mask, but I was like, well, this seems like a good opportunity to keep it on the whole time. So we're out there. We get out. The polls opened at 7. We're out there around 6:45 in line. Boom, boom, boom. It takes about 2.5 hours, to get through if we're counting the 15 minutes prior to the doors opening. Got in, got out. I thought it was real easy. I thought the ballot broke it down real easy. And boom, boom, boom. Again, walked in, put it in the machine, out the door. Was it easy for you?
It was very, very simple to understand, for sure.
65 versus 65A. A lot of controversy over that. We're pretty much on the same page. We both voted yes and for 65. Was that easy for you to understand?
Totally, yes.
All right, so look, I only bring that up because I've heard a lot of people talking about it on talk radio since the election, that it was so confusing. It was this, it was that. Look, if you had read so much as a paragraph, not you, Crystal, but people listening here, if you had read so much as a paragraph about what it was, it should have been very easy. If you're going to vote on something, know what you're voting on. I hate when they lump stuff like this in on a presidential election because you have a lot of people in there. I would say the number is probably greater than 50% that only know about the president. And they lump in very important things like Cindy Hyde Smith versus Mike Espy. Right. The 47 deal that eliminated Jim Crow voting laws. Mm-hmm. The 65 versus 65A initiative. And it's people that, low information voters that don't know what it is and they're just filling crap out. Now we got lucky and all the good stuff that we wanted to passed. Yeah. They did vote yes on the new flag, as did I. Crystal says she didn't like the new flag. She did not vote for the new flag. But it passed. So that is behind us. We can move on from that. Like it, love it, leave it. Whatever your point of view is on it. I would say the people have spoken, but not really. So, but we have a new flag. We got to vote yay or nay. Most people voted yay, and I think they're kind of in the same ship I was on it. It's like once it was changed, let's just pick one and go on and move on with it. I've never owned a Mississippi flag. I'm never going to own a Mississippi flag. I'm never going to fly a Mississippi flag on a flagpole on any property I own. I get it. Crystal says it's principle, and I completely understand that. So with that said, we have a new flag in Mississippi. It is available at all major flag outlets. I heard a commercial on the radio today. Somebody already advertising they have them available. So, all right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. No, I tell you what, we'll save that for a second. Cindy Hyde Smith, somehow controversial. Cindy Hyde Smith. I mean, talk about trying to squeeze blood from a turnip here, making her controversial. I mean, she could be the least controversial woman. She just said one kind of out of context saying, and people ran with it. But so Cindy Hyde Smith defeats Mike Espy for the second time since 2018. So she will get to enjoy her first full term. And so let's see what Cindy can do, and then in 4 years we'll revisit what Cindy did. And kind of see where it's at, and hopefully, if all works out, it was 4 years alongside Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. But particularly if it is beside Joe Biden and not Donald Trump, we will need Cindy Hyde Smith there with our defending our conservative values. You know, because could you imagine having Benny Thompson, Mike Espy, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all of these people in Washington defending Mississippi? Brother, I'm going to tell you, that's not a Mississippi I want to live in, or any other state for that matter. You know, we are blessed to live in the state we do. And so look, with all that said, transitioning here, Donald Trump carried Mississippi handedly, which no surprise, even though the lines all over in the urban areas, in the country, in the county, in the predominantly white areas, in the suburbs, the lines were 2.5 hours long everywhere that had more than 20 people living there. But Mississippi did its part. We did our part. Unfortunately, the rest of the country did not. Not all of it. We knew New York. We knew California. We knew there were going to be some areas that were what they were, and you got to play chess in the middle. And it looks like the Democrats played just enough chess to screw Donald Trump out of this, barring him being able to win, you know, some lawsuits, hopefully get it up to the Supreme Court, and a couple of the judges that he appointed, like Kavanaugh, be able to remind him, like, oh, wait, didn't y'all call me a rapist and a racist? Yeah, I don't know. Trump's got my vote. Amy Coney Barrett. Didn't y'all just call me a racist and harass me for actually adopting black children and a colonist? I mean, come on, man. You can't do that. So look, if it makes it to the Supreme Court and we got the votes and they do the recounts, I feel confident that Donald J. Trump will still be our president. But I'm not confident that it gets that far. Crystal, do you have any thoughts on that? How excited are you about the potential of a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris presidency?
I'm already thinking about where we can move.
Well, I don't even know if I can get a passport. No, I'm kidding. So look, if we have to live in a tyrannical America, I'd rather it at least be in Mississippi, where we do have conservative values and conservative leadership, even though Tate Reeves has acted very Gavin Newsom at times throughout the COVID stuff. All right. Well, look, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about that, because as we record this on Wednesday night, the day after the election, a lot can happen before Saturday when this airs and goes live on our podcast channels. So I don't want it to be too dated. So look, as y'all know, that's kind of where we're at. So a little fun thing here. Kanye West. Crystal, do you know how many votes Kanye West got in the Mississippi election?
I know it was over 3,000.
You would be correct. It's right at 3,000. So Kanye, bless his heart, did you know he only voted for himself? He did not check another box on the ballot.
That sounds about like Kanye.
Well, breaking news, Kanye has already announced he is going to run again in 2024. And look, you cannot just vote for yourself. I wrote myself in on one of the ballots.
The judge.
I'm one of the judges. I was not familiar with who they were, what they represented. I thought I'd done all my homework, and they threw a curveball at me. So I just wrote myself in. It was like Clay Edwards right there. Maybe I'd win. I didn't. I have not received any notifications that I won. I guess plenty of people filled that judge's name in. I don't even remember what it was. So anyhow, Kanye got over 3,000 votes in Mississippi. I'm going to guess most of them right here in Jacktown. That would be my sneaking suspicion. So look, let's move forward a little bit. Let's pretend that Joe Biden, for the sake of argument here, let's pretend Joe Biden holds on and becomes our next president with Kamala Harris as our vice president. And I know that's not how she pronounces her name, but I'm from the South. I only know one Kamala, and he was the Ugandan giant in Mid-South Wrestling and WWE. He was actually from Tupelo, Mississippi, so I hope y'all can appreciate that. He pronounced it Kamala, so I will forever pronounce it Kamala, because Lord be dang if I ever go back and call him Kamala. So she is Kamala, as far as I'm concerned. So the things that we treasure in a place like Mississippi is our suburbs and the towns outside of Jackson. Under a Biden-Harris regime in the White House, they are looking to move HUD homes into, and not just HUD homes, but multifamily duplexes, apartments, and all that stuff, slap into the middle of neighborhoods in Madison County and places like that with golf courses, country clubs, and more. Places you have worked your whole life to be able to move to and get away from Jackson trash. So, and look, and I say that as Jackson trash. You work hard, you go buy $1 million home, a $750,000 home, a $2 million home, whatever it is. You're doing that because you want to get away from people who do not have that same drive to work. People who do not parent their children the same way you parent their children. People do not care, frankly, about their children as much as you care about your children. And I know that it's going to butthurt some people, but at the end of the day, people with money, white or black or Mexican or any other race, don't typically want to be around people without it. It makes for an uncomfortable situation. It just is what it is. Nobody likes hearing the truth, but I'm going to speak it today. So y'all think about that. All of you guilt-ridden white liberals and black liberals who have run out and voted for these idiot Democrats, this is what you're going to get. And I especially am talking to you guys who moved out of Jackson and took your Jackson politics with you to Madison and Rankin County. You're idiots, and you get whatever. I hope they build a HUD complex right next to your house. All right, so now that I got the fun stuff out of the way. Oh, look. So Cindy Hyde-Smith, I know I mentioned it. Cindy Hyde-Smith defeats Mike Espy for a second time since 2018. I'm going to guess that Mike Espy is probably done with politics as far as on the statewide level. You know, he may come run for mayor of Jackson or something like that. I don't know where Mike lives. I don't care where Mike lives. I know his son played football at Ole Miss. I'm not an Ole Miss fan. So, look, I'm just kidding about that. But, look, we'll see what happens with Mike Espy in the future. He seems to have a big following within the urban community. I don't know if he can make more money sticking with private law or whatever it is he does than being mayor of Jackson or somewhere like that. But, you know, we'll see what happens with Mike. Maybe Benny retires and he can run for his seat at some point. But I know Mike's not getting any younger, and you got, four more years before this comes back around. Benny won re-election, so that seat is not coming available for another 4 to 8 years. Yeah. I don't think a conservative is unseating Benny anytime soon. So it would take a name like a Mike Espy to run. I heard some rumors that Benny was going to step down and Chockway may do it. Look, if you want the rest of the state to look like Jackson, Mississippi, by all means, vote for Chockway. But I mean, if somebody's giving you a resume and it's that bad, would you hire them for any job that you could hire them for?
No.
Chokwe has the worst resume of any politician in the history of Mississippi over 4 years. Absolute dumpster fire. Would not hire that guy to scoop poop off the road. Terrible, 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 terrible. And I know I say it every week, but I'm never going to talk about him as a person. But I'm getting closer because we're at 110 murders. And that is still higher than the amount of non-long-term care facility homicides in all of Hinds County. And we're going to get to that right now.
Long-term facility deaths.
Long-term facility deaths.
Not homicides.
Homicides. Deaths. If you ask the right liberal, they'll tell you that COVID is a homicide. So, you know, as life goes there, I do make mistakes. And we're not going to edit that out. We're going to leave that in there.
Yeah.
So, the COVID numbers in Mississippi through November 3rd, 2020. Total cases, 122,275. Total deaths, allegedly, 3,397. Hinds County deaths, total, 181. Long-term care facilities, 80. Non-long-term care facilities, that would basically be like Crystal or me or mom or dad or just anybody who gets up and puts their pants on and goes to work every day that's not already in a nursing home, hospice, or anything like that. 101 non-LTC deaths. Jackson, Mississippi murders, homicides, 187s. I know 187's a drive-by, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, 110. These things were tied, and actually there were more COVID deaths in Hinds County there for a little bit, but Jackson brought it up the rear and passed them with 110 homicides as of this recording. And my understanding is it's more like 111, 112, but they're not being reported properly, and that is coming from within my source at JPD, or from my source within JPD. Make sure I word that properly. So look, and I know I say so a lot, but when you run out of excuses and things to say, you're just stuck with, I can't believe I'm talking about this anymore. So you kind of fill the dead air with words like so and 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 if you ever take a Toastmasters class, they teach you how to not do that, or they help you learn skills to not do it. But at some point, you inevitably run out of ways to articulate, these MFers got to quit killing each other and figure something out as far as conflict resolution goes. Because COVID is the least of your concerns if you live in Jackson, Mississippi. Or as Kim Wade calls it, the Jackson Gun and Country Club. The Jackson Gun and Knife Club. So, good stuff there, man. Look, I really enjoyed being on the show with Kim the other day. And if you ever notice, after I interview with somebody, I end up stealing a couple of their catchphrases, but I always like to make sure I give them credit for it. So, there it is again, another so. I'm gonna, you know, some people have a swear jar on the table. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put a so jar on the table, and every time I say so, I have to put $1 in. I bet I quit saying so as my transition into the next subject or next sentence. Well, look, there's my other one right there. My other one. Well, look, so.
I'm gonna get me a purse.
We're gonna go to USA Pawn and get Crystal one of those Coach bags.
Uh-huh.
All right, so here we go. Stupid criminals. And look, man, you could write a book about these in Jacktown and Hinds County, or the Tri-County area for that matter. On November 1st, man, sometimes you just have to read it out loud to know that it's true. Suspect John Peterson, wanted for murder and aggravated assault in Jacktown, stole a police car while handcuffed.
That's talent.
That is, Crystal says that's talent. Well, look, so he eventually wrecks said police car and gets himself shot by JPD. Non-lethal. So he was handcuffed, arrested, stole the cop car,
Mm-hmm.
to elude going to jail. Wrecks said cop car, gets himself shot, and still goes to the same exact place he was going prior to getting shot. Well, I'm guessing he ended up having to make a detour at the hospital, but jail being the inevitable location. Yeah. Man, what an idiot. And his mugshot is the most smug F-U mugshot I've ever seen. This dude, I'm pulling it up to show Crystal here. I know y'all can't see it, but it's on WLBT. I'll have to show her later. Why? Why is it like this in Jackson? What is going on, folks? What are y'all doing? This is what happens when you blow up the nuclear family. And there's only one parent in 80% of the households. He's got to stop. Stop having kids if you ain't prepared to be with the baby daddy and raise that child as a family. We've all done it. We ain't perfect. But be a dang adult. If you're going to have a child, be ready to be an adult. It's not rocket science. That is what is leading to these problems. Now, piss poor education in Jackson, terrible schools, pathetic teachers. I'm going to say some things people don't like to hear, but it's the truth. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not talking about every school. I'm not talking about every teacher. I'm not talking about every parent or every kid. But I'm talking about the majority of y'all. Garbage. More worried about COVID than going to work and doing your jobs. More worried about COVID than your kids being able to play extracurricular activities like sports and stay out of trouble. It's all nonsense. And I'm going to transition from that. But I want to stay on the COVID and people who probably should not vote Democrat continuing to vote Democrat despite it hurting them worse than anybody else. And that is business owners in Democrat cities, especially. Let's say you own a nightclub, a restaurant, a bookstore, a live music venue, anything, a movie theater, anything like that. Anything that depends on the general public walking through the door in mass to remain open and be profitable. If you voted Democrat, you're an idiot. I'm just telling you, you're an idiot. And we're going to fast forward about a year after another round of shutdowns, as Joe Biden called it, a dark winter. Like we're talking about Game of Thrones here. A dark winter is upon us. We get more shutdowns. And you're not going to survive. You're just not. Most of you are struggling anyway. I have friends that are in the nightclub business. They didn't vote Democrat, but we know there's plenty in Jackson that do. You're going to have to close. You're not going to be able to survive, unless you're a drug dealer on the side or something like that, and you're just funneling your money away, trying to launder it. And I'm going to laugh at you. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. If you got out there and you stood in line for 2.5 hours and you cast your vote for Joe Biden, now I know that conservative Mississippi tried to save you, and we did our part. We overcame your stupidity. But the rest of America didn't, barring a few states. And all this may change. By the time this airs, Biden may have conceded to Trump. Like, oh, we got caught.
We hope so.
If you promise not to pursue Hunter and put him in prison, I will concede. Which I don't foresee that happening, because something tells me there's more to do with it than just Hunter and his shenanigans. But I was going to say, I don't feel sorry for you. If you vote for stupidity and you get stupidity in it, it's like a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Elections have consequences. I don't feel sorry for you at all, and I'm looking forward to making fun of you in a couple years. I hope I'm completely wrong, that Donald Trump is still our president, doing an amazing job, or Lord willing, or Lord, God forbid, should I say, Biden or Harris are our president and they turn the corner and they're not nearly as alt-left and far-left and radical as they pretend to be, and they're doing a great job. Because I will pull for our president to not suck. Because I want America to not suck. I don't want to look at our pride, at our flag and be ashamed to be an American because our president's so terrible. I don't feel that way now, but I feel like I'm going to feel that way if it's Biden or Harris. And we know that Biden is just the Manchurian candidate. He's who y'all have wired up and stuck up there, drugged him up with more amphetamines than Hitler. He is not going. I would be shocked if he makes it. If he makes it to the nomination. Yeah. You know, once the election is sealed, if he makes it to the nomination, I will be shocked. They're going to have him rolled out there on a wheelchair with a blanket over his lap with drool coming out of his mouth. That guy barely knows who he is now. Joe from Scranton. I married a Philly girl. My God, man, are we still falling for that kind of nonsensical politics at this point in life? Oh, y'all are. We ain't. Man, that's just Joe from Scranton. He's a good guy. He married a Philly girl. Y'all stupid. That's so stupid. It's like watching a movie. And that is something that one of the Kennedys would have said on the election trail between cheating on their wives and killing girls and drinking and driving accidents. Democrats. You know what? I'm going to run off the rails a little bit here talking about Democrats. Okay. Particularly white liberals. We have had 12 years since Obama was first elected. Mm-hmm. You had to, so you just got to go into that knowing, okay, you got 8 years with Obama if you're the head of the DNC. Well, you got to think to yourself, we got to start getting the next man up, next woman up. What is our plan? Who is going to be the next young, up-and-coming, super cool Democrat like Obama, which it never was to me, but to each their own. I understood it. Like Bill Clinton playing the sax on Arsenio and all that stuff. It transitioned into pop culture. Mm-hmm. You had 8 years to get ready for the end of that, and you gave it to Hillary Clinton, and she completely wrecked it. You went with Hillary Clinton. And Bernie Sanders came out of nowhere. Same with Donald Trump. They both came out of nowhere and were cultural phenomenons. Mm-hmm. I still to this day don't believe that Trump would have won his first presidency if he had been going against Bernie Sanders. Because you had all that group of the left that were so despondent over Bernie getting screwed that they either didn't vote or they voted for Trump. And I believe that's what pushed him over.
Could be.
You know, because Hillary, all the back table deals and screwing and everything else have gone on, and Hillary was promised next man up, next woman up, whatever she is, after Obama. All right, so you get through 4 years of Trump, and you had some pretty good hotshot Democrats that were willing to run. I'm not a fan of Pete Buttigieg. It ain't my cup of tea. The gay mayor from Indiana. Mm-hmm. But he's a sharp guy. Andrew Yang. I like Andrew Yang, a sharp guy. And then I talk about her on the show a good bit, Tulsi Gabbard. If she was a conservative, she would have my vote today. We only differ on the most important thing, and that is the pro-life stuff. Mm-hmm. Other than that, she's really a conservative, but I know that is absolutely a deal breaker because you cannot be a pro-choice and be a conservative. But I thought she would have crossed over with a lot of people who don't have those same feelings that Crystal and I do when it comes to there is no such thing as sort of pro-life. Right. You can't be sort of pregnant. No. You're either all the way pregnant or you ain't. You can't be halfway pregnant. But so you had all that time to get it together, to find somebody. And then the party of diversity. The party of diversity and women's rights and gay rights and racial rights and all this stuff rolled out the most racist old white dude in America they could find. The one white guy who eulogized the Klansman's funeral. The one white guy who says, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. The one white guy who sniffs little girls' hair. The one white guy whose son is a crackhead and has allegedly video of him doing inappropriate things with minors and doing drugs off of their body. Mm-hmm. The one white guy whose son had an affair with his dead husband's wife. Mm-hmm. You know, how did it get to that point? How and both of them, Clinton and Biden, both could be locked up, should be locked up for the stuff that they've done illegally. Especially if you look at the stuff that's on the Hunter Biden's laptop that Joe was complicit in. Mm-hmm. Hillary, the emails. Mm-hmm. This is the best that they could come up with. They had 12 years from hope and change. From that Obama election celebration in Chicago in Central Park there, whatever, not Central Park, whatever the one in Chicago is, the big park, 1 million people there, whatever it was. And this is all they could drum up over 12 years. And within that 12 years, you had Bill Clinton flying on the Lolita Express.
Well, I think that Joe Biden, if he does get elected, will not be in there very long, maybe a month or two. And then Kamala will take over, and who do you think is going to be VP?
Well, so what ends up happening is they enact the 25th Amendment. Kamala signs because it has to have the vice president to be initiated. Kamala easily turns coat on Joe. They roll him off into the sunset into a crazy house, keep him doped up so he can't talk, or kill him, or whatever it is they do. What did he know about the Clintons? Well, yeah. So anyway, then Kamala brings in Hillary Clinton as the vice president.
I worry about Nancy Pelosi.
No, it'll be Hillary Clinton, and then Hillary will have Kamala. Something done with Kamala. I got to be careful what I say here.
I worry about any of them.
I don't want to get Alex Jones and deplatformed. But I would be scared to death. Like, what do they know? What kind of videos and tapes do they have on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to have these two clowns shoved up there right now? Mm-hmm. It has got to be life-altering. I mean, we already know that neither one of them are good people, period, based on their past. And, you know, Joe's wife allegedly cheated on her ex-husband with him. Mm-hmm. His wife got killed in a terrible accident where she pulled out in front of an 18-wheeler, and Joe, of course, blamed it on a drunk 18-wheeler driver, which it was never proven that the 18-wheeler driver was drunk.
It's still tragic.
Kamala slept with her previous bosses. These are just not good people. Mm-hmm. And here they are on the cusp of being our president and vice president. And here we are in our little studio here, the USA Pawn Studios on our palatial South Jackson estate. And these two clowns may be our president and vice president. And they're talking about making Iman Omar over immigration. Mm-hmm. That clown Beto O'Rourke as a gun czar. A guy who they've already said they're going to take your guns. They're going to take your guns. Proudly say it. We're not making this up. This isn't fodder. This isn't right-wing hearsay. They're going to eliminate fossil fuels. I don't know what it is about Democrats and expensive gas, but if I would hate to know, I only drive about 10 miles a day round trip, back and forth to work, 12 miles, something like that. I can live if gas gets to $4 or $5 a gallon. It'll suck, but I'll survive. Assuming I stay where I live and I stay where I work. But imagine driving a diesel truck. Imagine working, a lot of people in Mississippi work in the oil fields, offshore.
The That's what I was going to say. Everybody's so worried. Everybody's so worried about their job that works in the oil fields and anything like that.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people who work in the oil fields like, well, expensive prices are good for us. I'm like, well, they are when people can afford to pay them. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference, because I remember back around 07, 08 when it got to $4 and $5 a gallon and everything around you got so expensive you couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Because what happens when gas goes up and diesel goes up to $4 and $5 and $6 a gallon? Your groceries, your packages, everything that gets delivered via gas or coal or diesel goes up.
I'm worried about the minimum wage going up.
Say it again.
I'm worried about the minimum wage going up.
Yeah, minimum wage goes up. That's not good. You'll get a handful of people who get a raise, but they're going to lay more people off. And the people who do get to keep their jobs, not only are fry cooks, but now they're also the burger cook. You're going to get 2 jobs. Mm-hmm. They're going to enact the Obamacare crap again. It's going to be a fine. You're going to have to pay. I mean, forever I had to pay $100 extra a month on my, we'll say $1,200 a year on my taxes because I refused to have insurance. Or there'd be a few months here and there that I didn't have it, and it would end up costing me money. Mm-hmm. That's all Obama said. That just came off last year. It took 2 years into President Trump's presidency for that to come off the books. Mm-hmm. We all know, outside of these poor bastards in Jackson, how bad Obamacare is for anybody. That's why when you go out to Nissan, these people who work at Nissan, they're all Kelly Services workers. It's because Nissan doesn't want to have to pay them give them benefits. Right. So they just hire them through a temp staff agency, hire twice of what they would normally hire, split the hours. None of them are legit full time, so they don't have to give them any benefits. That is not why you want to vote Democrat. Or that is exactly why you don't want to vote Democrat, should I say. I mean, what else? That is the best example I think I can make right there for why you don't vote Democrat. Especially if you're on the lower income spectrum. Mm-hmm. Because now you left one job. Because I know it sounds great to go work for a car manufacturer. But if that car manufacturer hires, let's just say, for instance, they would have hired 100 people and given them benefits. Now they're hiring 150, cutting the time down, no benefits. Most banks would not accept proof of residence if you're hired through a temp staff agency. So when I was in finance out there in Canton, people would come in that worked for Nissan but actually worked for Kelly. Mm-hmm. No banks would accept their income because it's temp money. They get, no protection. So I do understand when they were when they were wanting to unionize out there. Mm-hmm. I understood it. I understood why they were frustrated and why they wanted to unionize, but they did it to themselves by voting Democrat to begin with. Because once they had to get in there, and Nissan or whoever, I'm just using Nissan as an example here, had to give them benefits, they weren't going to give it to them. They created a loophole out for these big companies. Mm-hmm. It was small businesses that couldn't take advantage of that loophole that were punished. Nissan, Toyota, any of these car manufacturers, they're not punished. They're just going to find the loophole. But your mom and pop town square, those are the people that are punished. Right. It's sickening. I wish you low information MFers would do enough homework to know. Quit letting them play with your racial heartstrings, with your guilt. And you could do a little bit of homework yourselves and not have to have people like me, Kim Wade, and others do it for you. Because when y'all hear us do it, we're angry. We're mad at this point. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to listen. You think it's a personal attack. When it's not. I mean, who am I kidding? It is a personal attack. You're an idiot if you vote for these people. I will say it. I almost got into it with a guy at work the other day. He's like, you can't call people an idiot because of the way they vote. I was like, yes, I can. As a matter of fact, I can. Y'all have called me a racist for 4 years because of who I voted for. I will call you an idiot for voting for Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. You're an idiot. So, all right. In closing, Crystal, another great week. It was fun. I know I talked a lot more this week. I didn't push the mic over as much as I normally do.
I'm letting you vent.
I had a lot on my chest. I wanted to get off of it. I just can't believe that we're doing this to ourselves. And nothing's stopping it. Nobody's stopping it. I'm sitting here watching. I got Fox News on the TV in front of me here. And they're as complicit in this nonsense as you people who voted for these idiots are. They refused to call states when they knew they were taken. They called states early for no reason. There was no reason to call Arizona. Arizona, as of right now, looks like it's about to flip to Trump. They refused to call Florida when it was determined for hours that they could have called Florida. But they're leaving everything up in limbo, trying to let Pennsylvania, Michigan, and these crooked Democrat-ran states, trying to give them enough time to see just how much they needed to cheat to win. When I went to bed last night, Trump was hands down favorite to win. When I woke up this morning, it was a whole nother story. What was it? Michigan, I believe?
I didn't go to bed till 5 o'clock this morning. I watched it. I was so upset.
Was it Wisconsin? Trump has a massive lead. Then I wake up and Biden got 100,000 votes and not a single one for Trump. And somebody said, well, Democrats really bought into mail-in voting and conservatives didn't. Yeah, look, I'll give you that. That is true. But by no stretch of the imagination did not one single person vote for Trump out of 100,000. Yeah. And more than, 103.5% voter turnout in a county or in the state of Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. There's 3 million plus registered voters and over 100,000 more than registered showed up to vote. Nowhere has 100% participation to begin with. That is outrageous. So you're telling me that 111,000 above 100% voted? That's why all them people died of COVID, so they could vote Democrat. Mm-hmm. I hate it for anybody who lost to any conservatives who lost a relative this year because they just voted Democrat. You now have a liberal relative that does not know they're a liberal relative. All right, landing this plane. I would like to thank WYAB 103.9. Again, thank you, Kim Wade, for having me on the show the other day. I look forward to spending more time on WYAB on Tuesdays with Kim Wade. Coming up here in the near future, I sure hope. Y'all be sure to visit USA Pawn, the largest pawn shop in Mississippi, right there at McDowell Road at their mega store. 6 central Mississippi locations. McDowell Road, Woodrow Wilson, Ellis Avenue, Peterson Road in Pearl, Warrenton Road in Vicksburg, Peace Street in Canton. Check them out online at usapawn.com. The gym at BYRAM, 601-372-2229. That is the gym at BYRAM.com for a virtual tour located at 136 BYRAM Parkway. Last but not least, father and son Southern Lawn Care. Give Danny White a call at 601-301-3210 and check out their new website, fatherandsonlawnservice.org. Y'all follow us on social media at SaveJXN, and this podcast is available everywhere. Just search the SaveJXN podcast.